God forbid we ever accept the notion that Republicans could recognize the pain that they're putting on people and that they might for once be the adults in the room. It is so it's just so outside the realm of possibility for everyone to ever just suppose that Republicans might do the right thing
I don't believe
be the people.
I don't believe in the kindler, gentler.
It always
I don't
has
believe
to be
in
the
kindler.
Democrats.
Brian, you got the wrong guy.
Briantyler Cohen appeared on the Chris Cuomo show on News Nation to discuss the government shutdown, which now seems to be coming to an end, analyzing how both Democrats and Republicans managed the situation. While Chris Cuomo, as usual, leaned into his both-sitterism, and Cohen argued why Democrats needed to push back. And we're going to review clips from their exchange on News Nation, and I'll also share some thoughts on it as we watch together.
The left has the right issue. The shutdown was never going to fix it. And those who forced the shutdown know this and got a twofer. The DSA and their fundamentalist friends got us talking about affordability. That's good. But they also hurt a lot of people for that conversation. Not least of all, Senator Chuck Schumer and the other Democratic leaders. Chuck got played, and he is just about cooked. As the man says, it's not easy being a turkey this close to Thanksgiving. So let's test the theory with a prominent member of the newfound cave parade, my friend, podcaster Briantyler Cohen. It's good to see you. You can use that line because it's from a movie about not being a turkey this close to Thanksgiving. So if you believe they caved, that means you think something better could have happened than this. What?
When you say something better than this, what is this? I mean, we basically now we have to look forward to a doomed vote in the Senate where it requires 60 votes to be able to do anything with the ACA. That's not going to happen. If by some miracle it does pass in the Senate, then it's got to go over to the House. That's not going to happen. And if by some miracle on top of a miracle it passes the House, then we have to rely on Donald Trump, who hates Obamacare and its namesake, to sign this thing into law. So what this means is that they have figured out a way to effectively kill the ACA, hobble the ACA in whatever way they could think to do.
Brian,
and so
I get the problem, and I have no problem with you guys going after Schumer. You do you. Figure out what leaders work for you. But the miracle is what you're asking for. No shutdown has ever ended with a policy change that the minority who started the shutdown wanted. We both know this, and I believe your expectation is fine. You should want what you want. But you're too smart. You know it was never going to happen this way. And I think you're making this case to take down Schumer and the leadership, which I'm fine with. I'm just not fine with you pretending a deal was possible to end the shutdown.
To claim that the shutdown would not have resulted in any deal as far as the ACA is concerned ignores the fact that Trump and Republicans knew that they were getting killed on this thing in the polls. 2-1, by a 2-1 margin, independents saw that the shutdown was the fault of this administration. You've shown the graphic numerous times. The Kaiser Family Foundation showed that 8 in 10 Americans wanted these ACA subsidies to be extended.
Yeah, but you know those numbers dropped. Those numbers dropped during the duration of the shutdown. You guys took so long, you caused so much pain that you lost part of your base. And again, I've said it many times, and you know this personally, you guys are fighting the right fight. Affordability is the right fight, and healthcare cost is the right fight. But again, I don't get where you're coming from. I get you saying, hey, we need a deal, we need leverage. I get the desperation. You can't point to any shutdown ever ending, even when the polls were against the majority party on the issue, that resulted in a policy change when Democrats were in the majority or Republicans, because you don't do that, because you'll never have anything but shutdowns.
Everything that we're seeing right now is unprecedented. The notion that nothing could happen now because it hasn't happened in the past is disproven on a daily basis.
But not with these, and none of the people who are on your side of this, and again, I can't keep saying it enough because of the way you guys chop up everything on social media, but I'm with you on the fight. But to hear Senator Murphy and these other guys, Ro Khanna, they weren't working for deals for this. They've just been flogging that this is terrible, which I get. But they weren't even trying to make a deal, Senator Murphy. The only guys who were trying were Fetterman and Kaine. So the only people who are trying to make a deal are the guys you're demonizing for not getting a deal when you were never going to get a deal.
Chris, the deal was simple. The deal was come to the table and extend the ACA subsidies that were already in existence. The same ACA subsidies that at that time, 3/4 of the American people were in support of.
It's like when Trump's guys asked for money for the wall that the American people said they wanted with the results in the election, and the Democrats said, no way, you're not getting it. You don't have the majority.
Chris, this comes in the aftermath. This comes in the aftermath of an election where Republicans got absolutely routed on the backdrop of this very shutdown.
Yeah, but hold on a second, Brian.
If you're a Republican Party,
I'm with you, but you only won the races you were supposed to win in an off-year election.
Georgia, Mississippi, Maine, California by a 2/3 margin. Pennsylvania's Supreme Court retention race.
They're all blue seats. I mean, you only won a couple of non-blue seats. I get the results, but I don't think they mean as much.
Georgia's public safety commission. These are seats that Democrats hadn't won in decades, and they won them by 25-point margins.
Listen, as I mentioned earlier, Chris Cuomo constantly leans into Both-sitterism, and he has done so multiple times on his show during the shutdown by taking Fetterman's word that Republicans wanted to negotiate, even though anyone with a basic understanding could see that once the shutdown ended, Republicans had no intention of negotiating with Democrats, and briantyler Cohen emphasized the leverage Democrats hold, arguing that the old rules no longer apply and that the situation is unprecedented, which is accurate given how the Trump administration consistently broke laws and ignored court orders, leaving Democrats to use the tools available to push back and prevent further harm to the American people, with the government shutdown being one of those tools. While Cuomo also tried to portray it as a secret plot to oust Chuck Schumer, despite the fact that left-leaning voices have long criticized Schumer's weak leadership and called for younger, more aggressive leadership. So Cuomo's framing as a sudden scheme seems implausible and hard to believe that he genuinely thinks that way.
Because affordability is real, populist outrage is real, and I am with you on it. And I'm telling you, I think it's the good fight, if you fight it a good way. But let's not talk about some local boundary commissioner like that is in any way portentous. You start winning red governorships, you start winning red congressional seats, and now that's the kind of momentum we're talking about.
Abigail Spanberger, very good. She unseated a Republican.
Very good.
A Republican governor.
Mikey Sherrill, very good, but not the Democrats that are in vogue with you guys right now. They do not have a lot of the positions that you want on your DSA side.
So let me ask you this question, because you say this is not the right fight, not the right vehicle. Explain to me what other vehicle we could possibly have used than the little bit of leverage that Democrats had to prevent giving those 7 votes that we needed to reopen the government. What leverage do we have now other than, a pinky promise by John Thune and by John Thune alone, not even Mike Johnson, that he'll bring this thing up for a vote, which we all know is going to be doomed?
Now, in epistemology and logic, this is called the presentation of a Hobson's choice, which is where it's set up where there is no good choice, because there is nothing that you can do in the minority. No, but listen, and I get the frustration of that. But the idea that what you are really asking, briantyler Cohen, is keep the shutdown going, keep the pain into the holidays going, when there is no chance that the majority, unless you have some unforeseen, literally a miraculous event, it would be the first time it ever happened. And they don't believe they're losing the shutdown optics. I think they're wrong, but they don't even believe it, Brian. That's why I'm saying I get what's wrong. I don't get how you think you're going to make it right.
I think the problem here is that there is an expectation from everybody in this country, especially folks in the media, though, that the Democrats are always going to swoop in and be the adults in the room and save the Republicans from the disastrous policies that they themselves put forward. And so the fact that we can sit here and discuss this idea that, there's no way that this possibly could have done because we all know the Republican Party, we all know these people wouldn't have extended these ACA subsidies, and even if it meant that Americans had to starve to the tune of 42 million Americans, even if it means that 24 million Americans are going to see their ACA subsidies double, triple, quadruple as we head into 2026, even as we watch 17 million Americans lose their Medicaid, God forbid we ever accept the notion that Republicans could recognize the pain that they're putting on people and that they might for once be the adults in the room. It is so it's just so outside the realm of possibility for everyone to ever just suppose that Republicans might do the right thing and might be the people to reduce this pain.
Gentler.
It always has to be the Democrats.
Brian, you got the wrong guy. Okay, I am a student of Machiavelli. I've been involved in 16 campaigns with people named Cuomo. I believe in game theory. And do you know what you learn in game theory? If you play by the normal rules, what happens? You lose. So you have to do, what do they call? Change the rules, also known as cheating, okay? And that is at play in politics like nowhere else. I get it. I'm with you. I'll give you your leverage. It was never going to happen this way, but I get why you did it this way, because you set up Schumer and these guys to take the loss, where the new left got the win, which is we're not talking about something that you and I are so happy to be talking about. These subsidies would have faded. And we're talking about it. And now if they don't have the vote, they look terrible. If they have the vote and they vote against them on the right, they look terrible. And you're having the right conversation. You're right about what's wrong. I'm with you. But this is what you should be doing. Chasing that issue, saying this is how they abuse their power, and proving that you have better ways to do this. You know, we're one law away, right? You know, if they could pass one law that we're going to hold all costs at Medicare levels for anything that gets the government subsidy, you know, costs would start turning literally almost overnight. The only reason it won't happen is what? Because what these two parties want is advantage over the other, not fixing the problem. They want to win the blame game. That's my concern, Brian. I want to make sure you're on the right page.
I hear you. And look, if there's ever a moment where, you know, we can continue bringing costs down, you got a lot more Democrats who are perfectly willing and able and eager to make sure that the government can negotiate lower drug prices.
And independents and Republicans. Everybody wants this to change. That's what you have going for you. I just think that this was a marginal win, because you got us talking about the right thing, but the price may come back to haunt you. But we'll keep talking about it. I get your frustration. Again, it's a weird situation. You're right about what's wrong, but how to make it right is where it gets tricky. And I see what's happening in the Democratic Party. I'm not for it or against it. We've seen it before with MAGA. I'm just hoping MAGA learned from that and not to become what it opposes. But we'll see. We'll see. Last word to you.
I think if we see a new iteration of a Democratic Party that doesn't take just these symbolic wins where, okay, we thrust these issues into the spotlight, frankly, that's not enough for me anymore. That's not enough for the Democratic base anymore. And it's not enough for the country anymore, where we can just put into the zeitgeist the fact that something really terrible is happening, and at least we're talking about it. At this point, we need some tangible wins, and we need folks that are going to go to the mat to make sure that we get them.
I'm with you. It was just never going to happen this way. It doesn't matter who's running the party. Going by shutdown has never yielded the result that you want, for a reason. But I'm with you, and we'll see how your party changes. I'm here for it. Brian Tyler Cohen, appreciate you. I'll talk to you before Thanksgiving, but I'm thankful for you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
4 minutes.
Chris Cuomo claims to believe in game theory and says you can't play by the old rules, yet he keeps referencing Fetterman, who insists on trusting Republicans and negotiating as if bipartisan cooperation still exists, ignoring the reality that Republicans, along with the Trump administration and MAGA, have shown time and again that they are willing to crush Democrats and actively disregard human suffering, going so far as to obstruct SNAP benefits during the government shutdown and defy court orders, while Cuomo continues to push his both sides narrative as if Democrats are equally at fault, when in reality the Republican Party holds enormous leverage precisely because they do not care if people live or die, prioritizing billionaires and ignoring the struggles of average Americans. And as Brian Tyler Cohen points out, Democrats must use the tools available to try to help people. And while the government shutdown was far from perfect, it was one of the few ways they could leverage some power to protect Americans from MAGA's indifference. And though many on the left feel they caved too quickly, Cohen is correct that it was a necessary tactic to save lives. And meanwhile, Cuomo will continue framing every issue as a both sides problem, including debates on Medicare for all. So it will be interesting to see his arguments there. But the question remains whether one agrees with Cuomo's both sides approach or with Cohen's view that Democrats have limited but real tools to fight back. And I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.